in the rain. He's a Fox News senior correspondent, Geraldo Rivera, and Washington Examiner. I'm sorry. You know, we're two good friends. I can say anything. Lisa Booth is with us.
Brown puddle.
And the host of Justice, Judge Jeanine Pirro. All right, so a friend of mine just sent me this. Time Magazine, nearly 1 million votes, 59% Trump. CNBC, nearly 400,000 votes, 60% Trump. The Hill had it 55-39 Trump. My friend Joe Concha sent that to me. Drudge was exploding, like 90% Trump. The only people saying no are these idiots over here at CNN.
CNN, right.
No,
but, think about it.
Van Jones, Dave Axelrod, and Paul Begala. The biggest 3 liberal hacks in America, for crying out loud.
Sure.
They make Geraldo look like me, a right-winger.
I'm the man in the middle.
Think about, look, what did she have to prove? She had to prove she was likable. And he had to prove that he wasn't a lunatic. And in the end, he proved that he was pretty solid. He knew what that he could get through an argument with her. And she was scripted. She wasn't any more likable. And she was arrogant at the end.
You know, it's funny because I was watching her. She's so robotic. She's so plastic. She came in with her prepared little words and lines. Even at the end, I was surprised. Because I know Donald Trump pretty well.
That he didn't go after her at the end?
He could have hit her so hard that everybody in that audience would have gone, ooh.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda.
And he didn't.
He did not.
Was that right or wrong?
That's not for me to judge whether or not he should have. I know that he did not.
That's why you're here.
Let's backtrack this a little bit to where Hillary Clinton was going to go out there and vomit and pee in her pants and faint, and her legs were so wobbly she couldn't possibly endure 90 minutes.
Who said she was going to vomit and pee in her pants,
the stories that I saw leading up to this made Hillary Clinton seem like she was physically a basket case. The fact is she stood toe-to-toe with the person I think is the most charismatic movie star debater in this country. And she matched him at least evenly. I hear these unscientific surveys. I'll tell you what I saw. I saw it right down the middle. He could have knocked her out. He
left some stuff on the table. I'll agree with you.
Where was Benghazi? Where was the wall? Where was the Clinton Foundation? Where was
Saudi Arabia's treatment of women?
All of the arrows in his quiver remained in his quiver, it seemed to me, and he was on the defensive more than he was on the offense.
But those questions weren't asked. She wasn't asked about her email. She wasn't asked about Benghazi. She wasn't asked about the Clinton Foundation. But Donald Trump should have directed those questions at her.
But by the way, Lester Holt was doing a pretty good job as her, flanker debater in this thing, getting everything wrong that he talked about.
But Sean, I think where we're seeing some of those polls reflect a win for Donald Trump. It's the same thing we saw during the Republican primary debates, as well as in the commander-in-chief forum. And I think it's because the chattering class are all the political consultants, and the people that are viewing the race don't operate in that world. And Donald Trump speaks in a plain spoken language, and Hillary Clinton speaks like a politician.
And she came in, she memorized her lines with perfection. That's what I mean by robotic. I feel she's scripted, robotic. Even the lines, I memorized everything you said. And I'm sitting there saying, it didn't impress me. What impressed me is when he talked about Michigan and Ohio and Pennsylvania and jobs going overseas and a record debt and deficit and her being wrong on Iran and NAFTA and everything else. I thought that was more powerful.
But he spoke in a language that Americans understood.
Great.
And he said, you know what? You do have the experience. I concede you have the experience, but it's bad experience.
30 years. What did you do?
America gets it. And, when she starts with, you know what? I've been working on criminal justice reform since the first day of this campaign. Well, what were you doing as Secretary of State, as United States Senator?
And she was
what about the super
Did you notice that, Geraldo? She didn't seem moved at all when Trump was going, 3,000 people shot in Chicago. 3,000.
I think that law and order was one of his strong suits. I really do. But you say that he speaks in language that America understands. America understands. Why don't you release your income tax return?
America doesn't care.
America
doesn't care.
Maybe America doesn't care. But the point that he is not releasing his taxes, the whole birther
the fact that she
baloney,
33,000 deleted emails.
Classified. How many were
I think that if you spin this into a Trump victory as the Drudge
no, but
poll
Sean,
is,
what's important?
Time Magazine, CBS,
Everybody.
and CNBC.
And Sean,
Aren't they just whoever? This is an enthusiasm.
Sean, the enthusiasm is for change in the country. You look at the CBS battleground polling. 55% of Americans want big changes to the economy, to politics. You look at Quinnipiac polls that have asked the question of, do you want radical change? 70% of voters in Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Florida want radical change. This is a change election, and Hillary Clinton absolutely represents the status quo.
72% of Americans think that the country is going in the wrong direction, and she is the wrong direction.
I think what happened tonight was the Democrats now see their candidate as an appropriate candidate, and the Republicans see their candidate as an appropriate candidate, and the race comes down to the 3 or 4% in the middle.
You have been riding this razor's edge this
and I'm
entire
still
campaign.
there. And I'm still there.
Crying out loud.
I'm still there. And I hated that he brought you into it. I really do.
Why?
Because I love you, and I don't want you to be fodder for the people who are going to chop you up.
Listen, you know what I do for a living? I dish it out 4 hours a day, Geraldo. I'll take any shot anybody wants to take. But here's the thing.
He's using you as his alibi? Come on.
Well, but I will tell you that. Well, it's not an alibi. He would call me. We used to have knockdown, drag-out, friendly battles over Iraq. He thinking I was wrong.
And Sean, speaking of, I think the problem with Hillary Clinton, and we saw that we saw this even at the Democratic National Convention in her speech, and just when she gives her town hall speeches as well, is the fact that Hillary Clinton, she's so wired as a politician, she doesn't stand for anything. She didn't stand for anything tonight because she was so methodical about answering questions.
You've been here 30 years.
Yes.
What have you done?
Yep.
What have you done?
Very
Why are you talking about this now? You haven't fixed a thing.
Exactly. Well, and that's the problem. That goes back to the changes that Americans want, whether you look at the CBS poll or the Quinnipiac poll.
He was on defensive. You're a fighter. You do the mixed martial arts. Right. You know the difference between a guy who's coming and a guy who's doing this. He was way too much. He's a great counterpuncher. He was on the defensive 3/4 of the time.
No. Mitt Romney won the first debate, and then he fizzled the next two.
Well, you're making my case. He lost round 1. Maybe he wins round 2 and 3.
You just got done saying it's even.
Well, he lost because he didn't win.
You sound like Hillary.
He's flip-flopping more than Hillary.
He had the chance for a real knockout.
Oh, so you won.
And then everyone would have said if he had that knockout, they would have said he was mean to a woman.
Yeah, he's not going to win in the eyes of the media.
All right, I got a question. You have to vote right now. You're in the booth. Who are you going to vote?
I tell you, I am not going to do what you did. I am in the middle. I'm senior correspondent. I'm staying.
Are you going to tell us?
I'll tell you the day before the election.
On this show?
On this show. I will break the news on my brother's show.
You have to hold him to it.
Oh, I'm holding him to it. Trust me. If I have to drag him out of his office.
Drag him to the voting booth.
He's got a full bar in his office.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, coming up, Eric Trump, Reince Priebus.